You are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And most of you know that quote. Most of you understand it. But for those of you who don't, the 5 people that you're around the most, you're going to be influenced by, not necessarily by their actions, but also by the speed of which they execute things and how lenient they are with things. You might just start becoming more lenient. You might just start backing down your speed. You have to be very, very careful. Sometimes these can be friends, these can be co-workers, these can be family members. So you have to be very, very careful to be able to detach yourself in a manner that still allows you to interact with them, but not to leech off their, how would I say this? Leech off their habits, I guess you could say, or leech off the fact that they're very, very lenient with things when it comes to their life, or they're willing to give themselves excuses as to why they're not taking actions on certain things, right? Now, I think this next quote, though, I think would be a lot more exemplary of the modern day, and that is, you are also the average of the 5 content creators that you listen to. Now, for those of you who are anything like me, you probably spend a lot of goddamn time alone. And I mean a lot, right? Maybe you don't like to be around people, and you might always think that's some sort of a disadvantage, like you don't fit in, like you don't get along with people, right? And that can be the case sometimes, right? A lot of us seem as if we're left out, like we don't get invited to things, and it seems so natural for other people, and we're just trying so hard to, but it just never ends up working out. And we always feel bad about that, but I've come to realize that that can be a great strength, especially for people who are trying to attain a level of success. Think about it in the most basic manner possible, right? The less time you're spending with these people that probably don't even care, where you go in life, that probably you don't have a brotherhood formed with them. You're just maybe drinking or smoking buddies or whatever it is, or, you indulge in a lot of instant gratification together, and, think about, if you lessen the time that you spend with them, you're objectively going to increase time somewhere else. So why not that be time that you invest on anything that you find important or that will give you long-term success, right? Anything, literally anything. It could be reading, it could be learning, taking a course on something new. It could be doing your gym, doing your exercise, doing literally anything productive that'll give you long-term gains, right? So that's where it's a strength. But it's also a strength if you listen to content creators who are much more successful than yourselves, who are actually where you want to be. Now, I will say, as much as it is a strength, it is also that much of a weakness. Because if you think about it, if you're constantly surrounded by not maybe people, but content creators, right? You could surround yourself with complete and utter entertainment constantly and utterly all throughout the day, right? So that will put you way back, and you will now leech off those habits. You will now leech off, you will have the tendency to be as lenient as those people with less speed. You're not going to want to execute as much of the things that you told yourself you're going to want to, especially if they don't have the same habits as you. I know for me, an example would be this. So I watch a lot of, obviously Hamza, Ice Cold JT, who else? Chris Williamson of the Modern Wisdom Podcast, Alex Amosi, Brendan Carter, a lot of these people. And then my one entertainment source is XQC. Now, I always think, okay, he's a Twitch streamer, right? For those of you who don't know, he does a lot of gaming and whatnot. So I always think, okay, should I still be watching him? Should I still allow myself time to watch him here and there? And I still do. But if I get too carried away with it, if I overindulge and, especially if I overindulge more than I do all the other creators I just listed off that do have businesses, that are where I want to be, then I'm going to rub off from XQC's habits, or like what he does, which naturally is going to want me to game again, is naturally going to want me to maybe eat like shit, because we all know he eats like shit. For those of you who actually watch him, you know he does, right? And so, yeah, you have to be very, very careful in how you regulate that and where you spend most of your time. So those content creators that I'm talking about, right? You should look up people who have done what you wanted to do. Let's say you started wanting to start a cooking channel. Find 2 to 3 cooking channels that you actually like, and ideally, if you already like watching them, right? You probably already watch some, and I'm just naming things off, right? You probably already watch some channels that already do what you're doing, but they're a little bit more ahead, right? Take inspiration from those people and use that content creating advice that I just gave you, that you're the average of the 5 content creators you surround yourself with, right? Use that to your advantage, to your utmost advantage, because it can really disadvantage you if you're only consuming the content of people that are your like entertainment and things like that, and not of the people who are where you want to be, right? So you have to be very, very careful, and not only the people you surround yourself with, but also the content that you consume. One great example of this is also music, right? Sometimes I know people listen to music because they want to be expressive of maybe their emotion. Like if they're feeling down, they'll listen to like a sad song to kind of like ease it in and embrace that emotion. And I think that's fine, things like that. But for the most part, again, you do want to surround yourself with music or content, even motivational videos. People say motivational videos are garbage. I disagree, because if you think about it, any level of content or anything, you could see friends and you could see content in both. If you generalize the entire thing, they're basically just inputs that are going into your brain, right? So why are you as lenient as the guy in real life or as a content creator you watch? It's because of the inputs you're receiving, that you can do that you can get away with that kind of thing, right? So motivational videos is full of people that tell themselves they cannot get away with that shit. You should not make excuses, get on your shit. So if you constantly keep hearing that, you're going to have a huge level of cognitive dissonance, which basically, for those of you who don't know, it's like you have a belief that conflicts with kind of like another belief. So let's say, for example, you smoke, right? And you know smoking is bad for you. Those two conflict heavily. So if you have the tendency or proclivity to make excuses, right? Naturally, if you listen to some motivational videos that talk about not making excuses, you're gonna be like, oh shit, like I really gotta think about what it is I'm doing now. You know, like, is what I'm saying an excuse, or is it like a reason? Like, and that's good. You might think that's bad, that you're caught up in this dilemma in your mind, but it's good because it's forcing the good out of you. It's forcing that side of you that knows knows what you should be doing, right? And it forces that side out of you, and it tells you, okay, yeah, you're gonna have to commit to this now. Oh yeah, I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm too tired and all this. You start listening to that, you're like, excuses. You feel me? I mean, I'm just making shit up, but like, they're always talking about it on the motivational videos, and you listen to it, you're like, damn it, I gotta go now. I gotta go to the gym. Like, I know what I'm doing is making up an excuse in my mind. So things like that, it's just whatever you're permeating your conscience with has to be, I guess, positive, and or something that will help you within the long term to reach the goal that you want to. So any person, any content creator, any of that, make sure it is something that will help you in the long term if that information is actually like settling in and whatnot. So yeah, I thought I had much more than that, but to be honest, that's all I got for y'all. Take it easy. Peace.